Hi guys, welcome to Travel with Austin. I'm Austin, and today we are going to be taking a look at some video I filmed back in, I believe, 2019 of the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, also known as the Weston State Hospital. Now, I originally filmed this during a photo tour there. At first I was told that we weren't allowed to take videos, and then I was told that we could. So this video footage will cover the third and fourth floors of the asylum, because I did not get anything of the second and first floors. So today, the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum is open for tours. They do all types of tours about patients, tours about the history of the building. I believe they do ghost tours during the day and stuff. They also do photography events like the event I was attending. They do overnight ghost hunts. They just do a lot of events here. So right now we are in the main Kirkbride, which is where all of this video will take place. And we are just walking around. Now, based off the wooden floors in this area, I would believe that this is the fourth floor. Well, given the fact that it has skylights, it definitely is the fourth floor. So as we go through, I do want to apologize for any weirdness in the video clips. Looking back at the clips, I didn't get as much as I thought I did, and at some points, it just kind of switches to a new area. So I used some transitions to try to make that as painless as possible. Now, the outside of this building, well, first of all, this is obviously a Kirkbride building, but it is also Gothic Revival and Tudor Revival. Was built by Richard Snowden Andrews, and it operated from 1864 until 1994. Now, even though we call it the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum today, it was also called the Weston State Hospital, and that is the name it was for most of its time, starting in 1913 till it closed, and it was only changed back to the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum after it was reopened. So, as we walk down these hallways and stuff, you can kind of tell that the Kirkbride plan in this area isn't as strong as it is in other areas. There's natural light through the skylights, but not as much light crisscrossing from the different rooms and stuff. And you can see all these rooms have many different colors, and the windows in them are actually very small. And you can actually get a nice view of the outside from there. Now at the end of the hallway, you can see there is a ventilation fan there, because fresh air was very important. So, all of these rooms are pretty average size, I'd say, compared to what I find in other Kirkbrides. The only thing is, this being the fourth floor, is they don't have the traditional high ceilings, which is a bit weird. Now, one of the things I sadly can't show you on this tour is the clock tower of the building, which they had blocked off while we were there. And that actually wasn't completed until 1871, which this place opened in 1864, but construction of the building and the grounds continued until 1881, which is kind of interesting. that they admitted people while it was still being built, basically. And also, it was a segregated asylum. In 1873, they completed separate rooms for black people. I'm sure that probably a lot of the other asylums that I've covered were like that as well, just given the time. However, they do not really mention it like this place does. And I can see in that skylight there was a door, and I have to admit, I still wonder where that door went. Some sort of attic area or something. I don't know. Now, like a lot of Kirkbrides, the hospital was intended to be self-sufficient. It had a farm, waterworks, dairy area, and cemetery. And of course, one of the things that is supposed to lead to it being haunted is that all of these areas together combined took up 666 acres. So of course, that is one of the reasons that it is supposed to be haunted. So now we are walking back towards the central section, I do believe. Or we're at least getting close to it. Now, during its time in operation, several people died here. We don't know the official number of people who died here, but it is believed to be around 400 and 500, which is a lot less than, the upward of 2,000 people that died at the ridges. And part of this was due to lack of proper care, proper sanitation, and also just the fact that we, as a society, did not know how to treat mental health at the time. This was a time when we were still doing lobotomies and stuff, still doing like electroshock therapy and hydrotherapy. And this would be for conditions even just like epilepsy or anxiety disorder, or even, just because you thought someone was lazy, they were mentally ill. So here we are in the central section. Now, the central section is renovated to look like how it did before. And here we're getting a look at the ballroom down below. We'll get a better look at that in a little bit. You can see we got the bathroom over here. So now here we are at the ballroom. This is just a quick little snippet of a video I took. Much like the ridges, this ballroom is a 2-story ballroom, as you can tell. We were up there where those windows are, which I believe they said is where the superintendent and his guests would come and be able to watch plays and stuff from the comfort of their own area. So that was just a quick view of that. And then as we go into the next part of the wing, you'll see how this part is completely renovated. You also see my thumb a bit, because this was very early on, so I wasn't the best at recording things yet. So again, here we are on the other side of the 4th floor, I do believe. And you can tell it's a lot of the same thing on this side. So a lot of these rooms do have their windows boarded up, and that does take away from the little sunlight that gets in. But again, these windows are just so small that they, in my opinion, almost go against the Kirkbride plan, because natural sunlight was very important to it. So, as we're continuing to go through, let me tell you a bit more about it. So, the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum was home in the 1950s to the West Virginia Lobotomy Project. So this was an effort by Dr. Walter Freeman, the grandfather of the lobotomy, and the state of West Virginia to use lobotomies to reduce the number of patients in their asylums because all of their asylums were overcrowded. And since this was happening in the early 1950s, it would just be a few years later when they, started making actual medicine to treat mental illness. So you have to feel very bad for those people who got a lobotomy, and if the state would have just waited a few years, could have been properly medicated. Now, in the 1980s, the hospital population had been reduced a ton due to changes in the treatment of mental illness, such as actual proper medicine. Now, they did still have patients here. These were patients that still needed help, or were people that could not be controlled, and they actually would lock patients that could not be controlled in cages a lot of the time. Now, in February of 1986, the governor of West Virginia, Arch Moore, announced plans to build a new psychiatric facility somewhere in the state and wanted to convert the Weston State Hospital to a prison. So they did, of course, build the new facility. It was called the William R. Sharp Jr. Hospital, and it was actually also built in Weston. However, luckily, the old state hospital did not become a prison and closed in 1994. Now, of course, if you know anything about this building, there is a building on the back of the property that was for the criminally insane that is pretty much like a prison. Now, in 1999, all floors of the main Kirkbride were severely damaged by police officers who decided to play paintball in the building. Now, 3 of them were fired over the incident, but the rest, still got to go on working, which is great. Now, for a while, there were lots of different ideas on how they could reuse this massive building. They thought about making it a Civil War museum, a hotel, which honestly would have been kind of cool, a golf course complex, and they even formed a Weston Hospital Revitalization Committee, who was trying to preserve the building and find appropriate attendance. And then in 2004, there were actually 3 small museums that opened in the first floor of the building. One was devoted to military history, one was devoted to toys, and one was devoted to mental health. But they had to close soon after due to fire code violations. Then in 2007, the West Virginia Department of Health and Human Resources decided to auction off the building. Now, Joe Jordan, who was an asbestos demolition contractor from Morgantown, West Virginia, was the highest bidder and paid $1.5 million for 242,000 square feet, which is a great deal. Now, he immediately began maintenance projects on the former hospital grounds, and that year provided a fall fest with tours. And since then, it has been continued to be worked on, trying to restore parts of it to its former glory, while keeping some parts of it abandoned for people like you and me who love to go look at abandoned places. So, as we continue our tour of the building and you get a good look at it, we are now heading down to the 3rd floor. So, of course, the building has been in popular culture a lot. It has been on several paranormal television shows such as Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, Paranormal Lockdown, Ghost Stories, and Destination Fear. And of course, if you are a Fallout fan, the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum is in Fallout 76, under the name Fort Defiance, which was a base for the Brotherhood of Steel. And now they obviously take some liberties with it, but it's pretty cool to see it in the game. And honestly, it's kind of cool that it's like the only thing standing in that part of the wasteland. Now, it was also featured in an episode of the podcast Lore, which is really cool because that's a really great podcast. And of course, it's on the National Register of Historic Places because it is beautiful and old. It is also claimed to be one of the largest hand-cut stone masonry buildings in the United States and the 2nd largest hand-cut sandstone building in the world. An interesting fact, the only bigger hand-cut sandstone building in the world is the Kremlin. So that is really interesting to me. We were just looking down what I believe was a laundry chute. Now, as you can see on the 3rd floor, the Kirkbride vibes are much better. You can see all that natural light. You can see the archways. Now, this building was only designed to hold 250 people, but at one point it held around 2,500 people. So it was extremely overcrowded during its time. Sadly, that is very common to asylums of the time. And you can see as we continue to walk down the hallways and get some looks at the rooms in here. Now you can obviously tell that there were changes over time, such as the lights that are above would not have been the original lights. And these heavy metal doors that I'm opening probably weren't the original doors. They were probably something much lighter, something wooden. And you can see here, here is like one of the areas possibly where those people would have been contained that they couldn't control. You could see that the door could be locked and had like a metal screen on it. And here is one of the bathroom areas, which not bad because they actually do seem to give privacy. There were actually shower curtains, which, considering this is an asylum, I have to imagine those were probably added on later on, because I imagine patients would have to be watched most of the time when they were showering. Now here are the bathroom stalls, and these are kind of terrifying because you can literally just look over them from where you're at. There is basically no privacy, and sadly that is something that I would expect from, an asylum. But still, nonetheless, terrifying. So, see here we have a nice little room where you could, get some nice sunlight, and you can look out and see some additions on the first floor of the building. And at one point, this area was probably more open without a door and everything. But again, changes over time. Now, I believe with all the chairs set up here, and like a children's toy we'll see in a bit, and some cigarettes, that this is probably one of the rooms that is known for paranormal activity. Since I was on a photography tour, I was not given any real history or paranormal facts, so a lot of it is up to interpretation. So now here we are in a different section, and you can see the sunlight coming through the doors. You can see how big the windows are here. Oh, they have this room all staged with equipment. But look at how, it looked very cool. It was good for a photo opportunity. I know a lot of people do not like it when they stage a room, but most of the time I do not mind. But anyway, look at how big the windows are here compared to what we had on that fourth floor. Oh, and here we get another look at the ballroom. And that area right there kind of seemed like a stage, which is kind of weird, but just because the people who'd be watching from above wouldn't be able to see anything. And since this is a more restored section, they have it staged with proper furniture and stuff. So you can see, look around and see some stuff. They're obviously still in the process of working on this. I do plan on going back here sometime, hopefully in the next year or two. So it'll be interesting to see how much more they've gotten done since I was last here. And you can see the grand staircase over there. I have to admit, I am not as impressed with the grand staircase here as a lot of other places. Oh, that is a bathroom. So you can see this section is still all torn up. So I have to wonder if this section will be done when I get back, since it's part of the area that they're really hell-bent on restoring. So now we are entering Ward 3, and this ward actually has a ramp in it. So you'll have to excuse the camera flashes. And again, you can see lots of natural light here. It's always one of my favorite things when you can see the light crisscrossing outside the bottom part of the doors. Now these areas right there were kind of like a day room area. On the first or second floor, they have one of those where they have it staged with couches and a piano where the piano would be. And it would just be an area where the patients could go and relax and actually feel like humans for once. Since a lot of, their humanity had been ripped from them. So I was really curious about this room. It did just appear to be a bathroom. I don't know why it was locked off. But as you can tell, I really wanted to see what was inside of it. And every time I do something like that, I can't see it as it happens, so I never know until I watch it back later. And we did have this weird stroller at the end of the hallway with a little baby doll in it. See, I don't know why they had this over here. This is the stage that I don't like because it doesn't make any sense. Here we had a custodian closet. And then we're going down a door into another part of the wing. And you can see, again, nice light. You have to think there are absolutely no lights on in this area. This is just what it looks like in the daylight. Ceilings are pretty high up, which is good. That's part of the Kirkbride plan. And here is another day room area right here. And we're just going to continue walking down, but we only have a few more minutes left. So as we continue walking down, as you continue getting to see the rest of this asylum, let me go ahead and thank you guys for watching. I really love showing off old asylums. This was a place that I had to go back and take the old video from, re-edit it, and make it so I could actually give you guys some of the history. So thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Really helps me and the channel a lot. And I will see you guys next time with a brand new video.